Captain Hejun Kim's hands gripped the edge of the command console as another blast rocked Outpost Sigma. Red warning lights flashed across the room. Smoke filled the air. Around him, his crew worked with desperate speed. "Captain, 3 more Vorax ships just appeared on our sensors," shouted Officer Min from the radar station. Hejun wiped blood from his forehead. "How many does that make now?" 27, sir. We can't hold out much longer." 27 alien warships against 1 human outpost. The math was simple. They were going to die here. Another blast hit. The lights went out. Then the backup power kicked in with a hum. "Status report," Hejun called out. Lieutenant Ta limped over, his uniform torn and dirty. "South section is gone, sir. East section is on fire. We lost 30 more people." Hejun closed his eyes for a moment. Just 3 hours ago, Outpost Sigma had been home to 500 people. Now fewer than 100 remained. "The data transfer?" Hejun asked. "Almost complete," Tay replied. 2 more minutes. The data was everything now. For the past month, their sensors had been collecting information on the Vorax fleet, their shield frequencies, weapon capabilities, and battle tactics. If this information reached Earth, maybe the next outpost would have a fighting chance. Another explosion, closer this time. The floor shook violently. "Captain," Min shouted, "they've broken through the main doors. Ground troops are entering the base." Hejun made the hardest decision of his life. Begin evacuation. Get everyone to the escape pods. "Sir," Ta looked shocked. "You heard me, Lieutenant. We can't hold this position." "But the data transfer needs 1 more minute." Hejun nodded. "I'll stay to finish it. Get everyone else out." Ta stood straight. "With respect, sir, I'll stay. You need to take the data back personally." Before Hejun could argue, the sound of alien weapons fire echoed down the corridor. The Vorax were getting closer. "That's an order, Ta. Go coordinate the evacuation." Ta didn't move. "Sir, you know the regulations. The commanding officer's duty is to preserve the chain of command. I can finish the data transfer. You need to survive to deliver it." Deep down, Hejun knew Tai was right. The data would be useless if it didn't reach Earth's military command. With pain in his heart, he nodded. "Transfer complete in 30 seconds, the computer announced. The sounds of fighting grew louder. "Go now, sir," Ta said, pulling his weapon. "I'll hold them off as long as I can." Hejun grabbed the data drive and put his hand on his friend's shoulder. "I'll make sure this counts, Ta." "I know you will. Now go." Hejun ran through the smoking corridors toward the escape pod bay. Behind him, he heard Ta's weapon firing, followed by the aliens' high-pitched return fire. Then silence. The escape pod bay was chaos. The remaining crew scrambled into the last few pods. Hejun helped a wounded technician into a pod before climbing into the last one himself. As the pod's doors sealed shut, Hejun watched through the small window. The Vorax, tall gray aliens with 4 arms, each holding weapons, poured into the bay. Their black armor gleamed under the emergency lights. The pod shot away from the dying outpost. Through the viewport, Hejun saw the massive Vorax fleet surrounding what remained of Outpost Sigma. A moment later, the entire station exploded in a ball of fire and debris. Hejun clutched the data drive. Tai and hundreds of others had died to get this information out. 3 human outposts had fallen in the past month. Earth was losing this war. But maybe, just maybe, this data would change that. As his pod raced toward the emergency jump point, Hejun made a silent promise to his fallen friends. "Your deaths won't be for nothing. Somehow, we will find a way to fight back." The stars streaked by as the pod entered jump space, carrying with it humanity's desperate hope. Admiral Sumin Park hadn't slept in 3 days. Dark circles ringed her eyes as she stared at the star map. Red markers showed where the Vorax had already conquered. There were too many red markers. Another report from the Jupiter colonies. "Admiral, said her aide, passing her a tablet. "They're requesting more ships for evacuation." Su Min shook her head. "We don't have more ships to send. Tell them to use whatever they have. Civilian vessels, too." The door to the war room opened. Captain Hejun Kim entered, still wearing the same uniform from his escape 4 days ago. He looked as tired as she felt. "Captain Kim," Su Min said, "I'm glad you made it back." Hejun bowed slightly. "Many didn't, Admiral." "I know, but you brought us something valuable, I hear." Hejun held up a small data drive. "Everything we collected on the Vorax fleet at Outpost Sigma. Their shield frequencies, weapon systems, battle patterns. We paid a high price for this." Su Min pressed a button on her desk. "I've called an emergency meeting. Earth's remaining military leaders will be here in 10 minutes. Soon, the room filled with grim-faced officers, some joined by video link from distant bases. Hejun connected his data drive to the main system and brought up the files. "The Vorax ships use a rotating shield frequency," Hejun explained, showing diagrams on the large screen. "It changes every 40 seconds, making our weapons useless after a short time. But there's a 2-second gap between rotations where the shields are weaker." An older general scoffed. 2 seconds. What good is that?" "It's something," Su Min said sharply. "Right now, we need any advantage we can find." A young woman in the back of the room raised her hand. Su Min nodded for her to speak. "Engineer Jai-Ho Lee from Seoul Academy," the young woman said. "I think I see a way to use this information." "Go ahead, Engineer Lee," Su Min said. Jai-Ho walked to the front of the room. She couldn't be more than 25, Hejun thought. So young for such a terrible war. "If we modify our weapons to pulse at exactly the right moment," Jai-Ho explained, "we could hit them during that 2-second gap. But we would need to synchronize our entire fleet to fire at the same time." "That's impossible," someone said. "Our ships are too scattered." "Not impossible," Jai-Ho said. "Difficult, yes, but I've been working on a new targeting system that could link our ships together." Hejun studied the data. "We would need to get close to their main fleet. Very close." "A suicide mission," the general muttered. "Maybe not," Jai-Ho replied. "Look at this." She pulled up more schematics. "If we install these modified pulse cannons on our ships and coordinate the attack perfectly, we could deal serious damage before they adapt." Admiral Su Min studied the plan. "How quickly can you get these modifications ready?" 3 days for a prototype. 2 weeks for a full fleet," Jai-Ho answered. Su Min looked around the room. Most faces showed doubt, but there was no other plan, no other hope. "We'll call it Operation Thunderstrike," she decided. "But we need a fleet to volunteer for this mission. One that can get close enough to the Vorax to make this work." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Getting close to the Vorax main fleet was nearly certain death. Hejun stood up. "I'll lead the mission, Admiral." Su Min nodded, not surprised. "I'm promoting you to commander, Hejun. You'll need a crew of volunteers, people who understand the risks." "I'll find them," Hejun said, thinking of Tai and the others who died at Outpost Sigma. As the meeting ended, Engineer Jai-Ho approached Hejun. "Commander, I want to join your crew. These modifications are complicated. You'll need me there." Hejun saw determination in her young eyes. "It's dangerous, Engineer Lee." Jai-Ho nodded. "Everything is dangerous now. But this is our chance to fight back." Hejun thought of Earth, of the colonies falling one by one, of Taz's sacrifice. "Welcome aboard, Engineer Lee," he said. "We leave in 3 days." Outside the war room window, the lights of Earth's last great city glowed in the darkness. Somewhere up there, the Vorax were watching, waiting. But now, for the first time, humanity had a plan to strike back. Commander Hejun Kim stood in the empty hangar of Mars Base Delta, looking at the dusty, outdated ships. These were what remained of humanity's once proud Mars defense fleet. Some hadn't flown in years. Not much to work with, said Juho as she walked around an old cruiser. But I can make them work. Hajum nodded. We'll take all 7 ships. Now we need crews. You won't find many volunteers, said the base commander. Most people here have families they've evacuated to Earth. I'm not looking for most people, Hajun replied. I need the ones with nothing left to lose. Their first stop was the base's engineering section. There, they found Dae-sung hunched over a workbench, his hands moving quickly as he took apart a weapon. Weapons specialist Dae-sung, Hajun asked. The man didn't look up. Former specialist. I work alone now. I heard you created a new type of missile guidance system before the war. Dae-sung finally looked up. His face was scared on one side, his eyes intense. I did. Command said it was too risky to use. Not standard procedure. He almost spat the last words. Hajun stepped closer. I'm putting together a mission that's nothing but risk. We need weapons that the Voraks won't expect. Dae-sung studied Hajun's face. You're serious. Completely. Then I'm in, Dae-sung said, already gathering his tools. Standard procedure is what's losing this war. Next, they visited the pilot training center. There they found Eunji, running flight simulations alone while other pilots rested. Your record says you were demoted for disobeying orders during the Battle of Titan, Hojun said. Eunji didn't stop the simulation. On the screen, her ship spun between enemy vessels in a way that seemed impossible. They told me to retreat. I saw a chance to take out their fuel ships instead. She shrugged. I was right. But being right doesn't matter when you break the rules. Hajun watched as her simulated ship destroyed 3 enemy vessels with a maneuver he'd never seen before. In my fleet, being right is all that matters, he said. I need pilots who think differently. Eunji stopped the simulation and turned. Your fleet. Operation Thunderstrike. It's voluntary. High risk. For the first time, Eunji smiled. When do we leave? By the end of the day, Hajun had found 5 more crew members. Communications officer Jun, who had lost his family when the Voraks destroyed the moon colonies. Medic Sunhai, whose hospital ship had been shot down. Navigation expert Tawan, who had created new jump routes that Command had deemed too dangerous. And twins Gil and Gun, mechanics who could fix almost anything with very little. They gathered in the hangar as the 7 old ships were being prepared. This is your last chance to back out, Hojun told them. Our mission is to get close to the main Voraks fleet, close enough to hit them with engineer Jaiho's modified weapons. We'll be bait, drawing their attention while we gather targeting data. Will we survive? Asked Gil, the younger twin. Hajun looked him in the eye. I won't lie to you. Our chances are slim. But if we succeed, Earth has a fighting chance. Dae-sung stepped forward. I spent a year hiding in a workshop. I'd rather die fighting. The Voraks took everything from me, Jun said quietly. This is my chance to hit back. One by one, they all confirmed they were staying. Jaiho, who had been checking systems on the lead ship, called out, Commander, we have a problem with the main cruiser's engine core. Hajun walked over. How bad? Bad enough that we need to delay launch by 2 days, she replied. Hajun frowned. We don't have 2 days. Admiral Su Min's reports show the Voraks fleet is moving toward the Jupiter defense line. We need to be out there in 12 hours. Eunji joined them, looking at the engine. I've seen this issue before. The twins, and I can bypass the damaged section. It won't be pretty, but it'll fly. Jaiho looked doubtful. It might explode mid-jump. Everything might explode, Dae-sung said as he walked past carrying a crate of tools. That's what makes it interesting. Hajun looked at his small, strange crew. They weren't the elite force he'd commanded at Outpost Sigma. They were outcasts, rule breakers, and survivors. But maybe, he thought, that's exactly what humanity needs right now. We launch in 10 hours, he decided. Let's get to work. The journey to Luna Base took 3 days. 3 days of tense silence, quick repairs, and worried looks. The 7 old ships barely held together as they flew. Luna Base was humanity's last hidden outpost. Built inside a crater on the dark side of the moon, it couldn't be seen from Earth or space. It was here that the final preparations for Operation Thunderstrike would happen. Hajun called a meeting in the base's main room. His crew sat around a large table, tired from the journey. Engineer Jaiho needs 5 days to modify our weapon systems, Hajun told them. We'll train together during that time. Daesung slammed his hand on the table. 5 days. The Vorax could reach Earth by then. The modifications won't work if we rush them, Jaiho replied calmly. And who says your modifications will work at all? Daesung challenged. You're fresh from school. What do you know about real combat? Jaiho's face flushed red. I've studied every battle against the Vorax. I know their shield systems better than anyone. Book knowledge, Daesung scoffed. Yunji stood up. At least she's trying something new. What have your weapons done so far except fail? The room erupted in angry voices. Hajun watched as his crew argued, divided by old hurts and fresh fears. Enough, he finally shouted, silencing the room. This is exactly what the Vorax want. Humans fighting humans while they pick us off one by one. He's right, said Jun quietly. I watched the recordings from the moon colony's attack. The Vorax targeted our communication centers first. They wanted to stop us from working together. Hajun nodded. From now on, we are one crew, one fleet. Our differences don't matter. Only the mission matters. The room fell silent. Then To-1, the usually quiet navigation expert, spoke up. My grandfather fought in Earth's last great war, he said. He told me that soldiers don't fight for grand ideas. They fight for the person next to them. We need to know each other, trust each other. Hajun considered this. You're right. Starting today, we train together, eat together, and learn to trust each other. Over the next 4 days, Hajun pushed his crew hard. They ran battle simulations where they had to work as teams. They learned each ship's strengths and weaknesses. Slowly, grudgingly, they began to respect each other. Daesung and Jaiho started working together, combining his practical experience with her theoretical knowledge. The twins, Gil and Gun, taught everyone emergency repair techniques. Yunji trained the other pilots in her unconventional flying methods. On the 4th night, they shared a meal together. For the first time, there was laughter. To Operation Thunderstrike, Yunji said, raising her cup. May we at least take some Vorax with us when we go. To new ways of fighting, added Daesung, nodding respectfully to Jaiho. Just then, alarms blared throughout the base. Everyone jumped to their feet. Vorax scout ship detected, announced the base commander over the speakers. It's scanning the far side of Luna. Hajun rushed to the command center with his crew behind him. On the screen, they saw a small Vorax vessel moving slowly around Luna's edge. They haven't spotted the base yet, said the sensor operator, but they're getting closer. If that ship reports back to their fleet, we lose the element of surprise, Hajun said. Our entire plan depends on them not knowing we're coming. We could hide deeper in the crater, suggested the base commander. Yunji shook her head. They have deep scan technology. They'll find us. Then we take them out, said Daesung. Our weapons modifications aren't ready, Jaiho reminded them. We need 1 more day. Hajun made his decision. We can't wait. If that scout reports our position, the entire operation fails before it begins. He turned to his crew. Prepare for immediate launch. We're taking the fight to them now. As they rushed to their ships, Hajun caught Jaiho's arm. Can you finish the most critical modifications during flight? He asked. Jaiho nodded, determination in her eyes. I'll have to. We won't get another chance. The crew ran to their ships, no longer strangers but a team forged by necessity and shared purpose. The time for preparation was over. The real test had begun. Vorax scout ship changing course, Jun reported from his communication station. They detected us. Hajum's small fleet of 7 ships flew in tight formation away from Luna Base. Their plan was simple: destroy the scout ship before it could report back to the main Vorax fleet. All ships prepare for combat, Hajun ordered. Yunji, take your fighters and circle behind them. Cut off their escape route. Copy that. Commander, Yunji replied. Her voice was calm, but Hajun could hear the excitement in it. 3 small fighter ships broke away, engines burning bright as they raced to get behind the enemy. On Hajum's command ship, Jaho worked frantically to finish the weapons modifications. Her hands moved quickly over the control panels. How much longer? Hajun asked her. 10 minutes for the main cannon, Jaho said without looking up. The smaller weapons are ready now, but they won't do much damage. Hajun frowned. They didn't have 10 minutes. The Vorax scout was already turning to flee. Dae-sung, can you target their engines with the weapons we have now? I can try, the weapons specialist replied. But our regular weapons barely scratched their shields. The Vorax ship suddenly accelerated. It was making a run for it. They're trying to jump away, Jun shouted. 5 seconds until they're clear. Fire everything we have, Hajun ordered. All 7 human ships fired at once. Bright energy beams struck the Vorax scout ship. Its shields glowed purple as they absorbed the attack. But the shields held. The Vorax ship continued to accelerate. It's not working, Dae-sung growled. Their shields are too strong. At that moment, Yunji's voice came over the radio. I have a clear shot at their rear section. Their shields are still up, Hajun warned. Watch this, Yunji replied. Her fighter swooped down from above, following a path no normal pilot would attempt. She fired repeatedly at a single point on the Vorax ship's shield, then suddenly spun her fighter in a tight spiral, continuing to fire the whole time. What is she doing? Dae-sung asked. Jaho looked up from her work, eyes wide. She's hitting the same spot on their shield, but from slightly different angles each time. It's creating a resonance pattern. On the main screen, they could see the Vorax shield starting to flicker where Yunji was concentrating her fire. All ships target that spot, Hajun ordered. The human fleet fired again, all weapons aimed at the weakening point in the Vorax shield. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly, the shield collapsed in that one small area. Now, Dae-sung, Hajun shouted. Dae-sung fired a single missile through the gap. It struck the Vorax ship's engine. The explosion was small but precise. The Vorax ship spun wildly, its engine damaged but not destroyed. It fired back, hitting one of Yunji's fighters. The small ship exploded instantly. We lost Pilot San, Jun reported, his voice shaking. Hajun felt the loss like a physical blow. The first casualty of Operation Thunderstrike. Yunji, pull your remaining fighters back, he ordered. Jaho, we need that main cannon now. 30 more seconds, Jaho said, working even faster. The Vorax ship was still trying to escape, limping away on its damaged engine. It fired again, hitting another human ship. Alarms blared as the ship's hull was breached. We're losing the horizon, Jun reported. Hull breach in 3 sections. 20 seconds, Jaho announced. The Vorax fired once more, this time at Hajun's command ship. The blast rocked the vessel, throwing people from their seats. 10 seconds, Jaho said, holding onto her console. We don't have 10 seconds, Hajun replied as another blast hit them. 5, 4, 3. Jaho counted down as sparks flew from damaged systems around her. 2, 1. Cannon ready. Fire, Hajun ordered. The modified main cannon powered up, making the lights on the ship dim for a moment. Then it fired a strange, pulsing beam that seemed to change frequency as it traveled. The beam hit the Vorax ship. For a second, nothing happened. Then the beam seemed to pass right through the alien vessel's shields as if they weren't there. The Vorax ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Cheers erupted across the human fleet, but Hejum didn't join in. They had won their first battle, but at a cost. 2 ships lost, 11 good people dead, including Pilot San. And this was just a scout ship. The real Vorax fleet was still out there, with hundreds of vessels much larger and more powerful than this one. It worked, Jaiho said quietly, looking at the floating debris that had been the Vorax ship. The modified cannon worked. Hejun nodded. Yes, it did. Now we need to modify every weapon on every ship before the main Vorax fleet discovers we're here. Status report. Hejun ordered as he entered the command deck of his ship, now named Thunderstrike. 5 ships fully modified and ready, Jaiho replied. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. For 36 hours straight, she had worked with Dae-sung and the twins to modify all their weapon systems. What about Eunji? Hejun asked. Jun looked up from his communication station. Medical bay reports she'll recover, but she needs rest. The explosion damaged her fighter more than we thought. Hejun nodded. Eunji had nearly died when her fighter was hit during their second encounter with Vorax scout ships. She had managed to land her damaged craft, but the injuries were severe. She wants to fly again, Jun added. She's demanding to be released. Tell medical to keep her there, Hejun said. We need her alive for the main battle. The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. Admiral Su-min's tired face appeared. Commander Kim, report, she ordered. We've destroyed 3 Vorax scout ships, Admiral. No transmissions escaped. The enemy still doesn't know what we're planning. Su-min nodded. Good. The Jupiter defense line has fallen. Earth is evacuating all civilian centers. We've moved most of the population underground. Hejun felt a chill. How much time do we have? The main Vorax fleet will reach Earth in 4 days, Su-min replied. We need to spring your trap before then. We're ready, Hejun said, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. We'll begin moving into position today. After the transmission ended, Hejun gathered his crew. The 5 remaining ships would need to work perfectly together if their plan had any chance of success. The plan is simple, Hejun explained, showing a star map. We'll move through this asteroid field, leaving behind energy signatures that the Vorax can detect. It will look like we're trying to hide a much larger fleet. And they'll come looking, Dae-sung said with a grim smile. Exactly. We need them to commit a significant portion of their fleet to dealing with us. What if they send everything? Asked Gil, one of the twins. We can't fight their entire fleet. They won't, Jun assured him. I've been monitoring their communications. The Vorax are arrogant. They'll send enough ships to crush what they think is our hidden fleet, but they'll keep moving toward Earth with their main force. When they find us, Hejun continued, we'll retreat to these coordinates near Saturn's rings. The ice and rock will interfere with their sensors, making it harder for them to realize how few ships we actually have. Jaiho pointed to a specific spot on the map. We've chosen this location because the magnetic fields from Saturn will help amplify our modified weapons. If we time it right, we can hit multiple Vorax ships during the same shield weakness window. The plan was set. For the next 2 days, the small human fleet moved carefully through the asteroid field, deliberately leaving trails for the Vorax to find. They placed sensor buoys that mimicked the energy signatures of dozens of human ships. On the 3rd day, Jun called Hejun to the command deck. Commander, multiple Vorax ships changing course. They're heading toward the asteroid field. Hejun watched the sensor display as over 30 Vorax warships moved toward their position. It was working. How many ships are still heading toward Earth? He asked. About 100, Jun replied. But this is more than we expected to draw away. Hajum smiled for the first time in days. Good. More ships here means fewer attacking Earth. They're scanning the asteroid field now, Jun reported. They'll find our decoys soon. All ships prepare to move, Hajun ordered. As soon as they detect our decoys, we begin Phase 2. Within hours, the Voraks discovered the sensor buoys. Believing they had found a secret human fleet, they moved in force into the asteroid field. They've taken the bait, Dae-sung announced, and they've called for reinforcements. Hajun felt both pride and fear. Their plan was working almost too well. They had hoped to draw away 20 Vorax ships. Now nearly 50 were entering the asteroid field. All ships fall back to the Saturn position, Hajun ordered. Leave behind more decoys. Make them think we're running scared. As the human ships slipped away towards Saturn, Hajun received a message from Medical Bay. Sir, said the medic, pilot Yunji has disappeared. We think she may have returned to her fighter. Just then, Yunji's voice came over the comm system. Commander, I'm ready for duty. My fighter is prepped and waiting your orders. Hajun should have been angry, but instead he felt relieved. They would need every pilot for what was coming. Take position with the others, he ordered. And Yunji, it's good to have you back. Wouldn't miss this fight, sir, she replied. Vorax fleet approaching Saturn's rings, Jun reported. 53 ships total. They're moving in attack formation. Hajun stood on the command deck of the Thunderstrike, watching the enemy fleet appear on the main screen. The Vorax ships were massive, dark shapes against the beautiful rings of Saturn. Each one was at least 3 times larger than the largest human vessel. Are they in range of our sensors? Hajun asked. Jai-ho nodded. Yes, I'm reading their shield frequencies now. Her fingers flew over her console. They've changed the rotation pattern since our last encounter. Clever. Can you adjust our weapons? Hajun asked. Already done, Jai-ho replied. But we'll only get one chance at this. Once they see what we're doing, they'll change their shield patterns again. Hajun opened a channel to all 5 ships. This is Commander Kim. The moment we've prepared for is here. Every ship has been equipped with Engineer Jai-ho's modified weapons. Every crew member knows their role. He paused, looking at the faces of his crew around him. Today, we show the Vorax that humanity will not go quietly. Today, we strike back. The human ships were hidden among the icy rocks of Saturn's rings. The plan was to let the Vorax fleet come closer, thinking they were hunting down the last remnants of humanity's forces. Then, when the enemy was in perfect position, all 5 human ships would attack at once, their weapons synchronized to hit during the brief shield weakness. Vorax ships are scanning the rings, Jun announced. They haven't spotted us yet. Hold position. Hajun ordered. Wait for my signal. Minutes passed. The Vorax ships moved slowly through the rings, searching methodically. They're getting close to Yunji's position, Dae-sung warned. Hajun frowned. If the Vorax discovered any of their ships too soon, the entire plan would fall apart. All ships prepare to activate jamming sequence, Hajun ordered. This was Jun's special contribution to the plan, a way to block the Vorax ships from communicating with each other for a brief period. Ready on your mark, Commander, Jun replied. The largest Vorax ship, clearly the command vessel, moved to the center of their trap. It was now or never. Activate jammers, Hajun ordered. Jun pressed a series of controls. Jamming active. Their communications are blocked. All ships, attack now, Hajun commanded. For Earth, for humanity. Strike now. The 5 human ships burst from their hiding places among the icy rocks. Their engines burned bright as they accelerated toward the surprised Vorax fleet. Weapons locked on target. Dae-sung reported. Firing in 3, 2, 1. All 5 human ships fired at exactly the same moment. Their modified weapons glowed with a strange, pulsing light. The beams struck the Vorax command ship during the exact millisecond when its shields were rotating and vulnerable. The effect was immediate. The beams passed through the shields as if they weren't there, striking the massive vessel directly. Explosions erupted across its hull. "Direct hit," Daesung shouted. The Vorax fleet, momentarily confused without their communications, began to respond. They fired back, their powerful weapons lighting up space. "Evasive maneuvers," Hejun ordered. "Stay in your attack groups." The small human ships darted between the much larger Vorax vessels. Their size and speed made them difficult targets. Yunjai led her fighters in impossibly tight turns, drawing Vorax fire away from the larger human ships. "Second volley ready," Jaiho announced. "Shield frequency calculated. All ships, second attack run," Hejun ordered. Again, the human ships fired in perfect synchronization. 3 more Vorax ships took critical damage, their shields useless against the specially calibrated weapons. But the Vorax were adapting quickly. Their return fire grew more accurate. A blast struck one of the human ships, tearing through its hull. "We've lost the Defiant," Jun reported, his voice shaking. Hejun felt the loss like a physical pain, but there was no time to mourn. "Continue the attack pattern. Concentrate fire on their Vorax fleet is breaking formation," Jun announced, his voice filled with disbelief. They're retreating." Hejun stared at the main screen. After their coordinated strike, the remaining Vorax ships were indeed pulling away, moving back from Saturn toward open space. "Are you sure they're retreating?" Hejun asked, "Not regrouping for another attack. Their engine signatures show maximum acceleration away from us," Jun confirmed, "and their communication channels are filled with emergency signals." The command deck of the Thunderstrike fell silent. No one had expected this. They had hoped to damage some Vorax ships, to prove humanity could fight back. But to make the mighty Vorax fleet retreat. "We did it," Jaiho whispered, tears in her eyes. "We really did it." But the victory had come at a terrible cost. Of their 5 ships, only 3 remained operational. The Defiant was destroyed, and the Horizon was severely damaged. Dozens of good people had died. "What about the main Vorax fleet heading toward Earth?" Hejun asked. Jun checked his communications data. They're slowing down, Commander. The retreating ships must have contacted them." "Send a message to Admiral Sumin," Hejun ordered. "Tell her what happened here. Tell her the Vorax can be beaten." As Jun sent the message, Hejun looked around at his tired crew. Daesung stood at the weapons station, his scared face showing the ghost of a smile. Jaiho was checking her systems, making notes for future improvements. The twins, Gil and Gun, were already working to repair damaged sections of the ship. "Come with me," Hejun said to Jaiho. They went to the observation deck, where they could see the retreating Vorax ships and the remains of those they had destroyed. "I never actually believed we'd win," Jaiho admitted. "I hoped, but this isn't a complete victory," Hejun reminded her. "The Vorax still outnumber us. They still have more advanced technology. But now they know we can hurt them," Jaiho said. "That changes everything." The door to the observation deck opened. Yunjai limped in, her flight suit torn and bloody from a wound in her side. "Shouldn't you be in medical?" Hejun asked. Yunji shrugged, then winced at the pain. "Wanted to see it with my own eyes." The Vorax running away. The 3 of them stood there, watching as the enemy ships grew smaller in the distance. An alert sounded. Hejun tapped his communicator. "Commander Kim here." "Sir," Jun's voice came through. "Message from Admiral Sumin. The main Vorax fleet has changed course. They're moving away from Earth." Hejun closed his eyes for a moment, letting the relief wash over him. When he opened them again, he saw a transmission coming in on the main screen. It was Admiral Sumin, and for the first time since he'd known her, she was smiling. "Commander Kim," she said, "news of your victory is spreading throughout Earth and the colonies. People are coming out of the shelters. They're celebrating in the streets. She paused. What your fleet did at Saturn, it's changed everything. We had significant losses, Admiral, Hajun reported, but the modifications to our weapons worked better than we hoped. Engineer Joho found a frequency that affected multiple Vorax ships simultaneously. We're already implementing these modifications across all remaining Earth ships, Sumin replied. And we've sent the specs to the Mars and Venus colonies. What's our next move? Hajun asked. First, bring your fleet home, Sumin said. Your crews deserve rest and recognition. Then, her expression grew determined, we start planning our counterattack. The Vorax have been pushing us back for months. Now it's our turn to push. After the transmission ended, Hajun returned to the command deck. The crew looked to him, waiting for orders. Set course for Earth, he said. We're going home. As the human ships turned toward Earth, Hajun thought about all they had lost. Outpost Sigma, Lieutenant Ta, and so many others. But for the first time, he also thought about what humanity might still gain. The Vorax weren't invincible after all. They could be beaten. And now, every human in the solar system knew it. On Earth, Admiral Sumin stood before a crowd of people who just yesterday had been hiding underground in fear. Now they cheered as she made her announcement. Today, we have turned the tide of war. Tomorrow, we take the fight to them. In orbit around Saturn, floating among the debris of Vorax ships, a small human fighter craft sent a simple message back to Earth. It was from Enji, and it said only, "Humanity strikes back." The war wasn't over. The Vorax would return, perhaps stronger than before, but something fundamental had changed. Hope had returned to humanity, and with it, the determination to not just survive, but to win.